Hello and welcome back to the end of the fourth football show. It is me, your host, B-Hizzy, aka Brendan Hurst, and I am here with, I suppose, the only way to really put it is an open letter to Aaron Rodgers. For those who somehow don't know, yesterday he was on the Pat McAfee show, and the news broke while we were filming our first show back. He is going to play for the Jets. He will be traded from the Packers to the New York Jets. They're just working out the compensation, but he will play for a different team in 2023. And I was hoping I'd feel a little less raw at this point. This is nearly 24 hours or so after the news broke. Um, but there's I promise I'm not gonna cry. I'm promising myself I'm not gonna cry because Aaron Rodgers means a lot more to me than just a football player. And I hope that some of the information what I tell my story here um is a big help to everybody. So first off, I just want to thank Aaron Rodgers for 18 years, which is it's 8 years of it. I saw myself. I followed myself from 2015 right up there. I think that's eight seasons worth. So yeah, so 18 years for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Um, we've got four MVP awards, one Super Bowl ring, one Super Bowl MVP, and everybody is going to give Aaron Rodgers hate, or not so much hate, but they're going to slate him and the the Packers front office for having, what has been 30 years essentially of back-to-back Hall of Fame QB play and only having two Super Bowls to show from it. But I won't get into it. It's clear that we should have won more. The Packers did come close a couple of times. Obviously, there was 2014, the NFC Championship game against Seattle. That was very close. I do think we would have beaten New England if we got to the Super Bowl. There was 2016, obviously we got pumped by Atlanta in the NFC Championship game. There was a theme going here. 2019 again, pumped by the Niners. 2020, the Buccaneers. There was countless playoff heartbreak throughout the years. But through knowing almost that we were gonna lose, the 2019 NFC Championship game, I don't know if I was lying to myself when I thought we can win this and we can get to the Super Bowl, and then whatever happens from there happens. We were clearly on a different level. The 49ers were on a different level to us on the day. Um, but regardless from all the disappointment, the 2020 NFC Championship game losing to Tom Brady at Lambeau Field, the excitement for the following year just because we have 12 never ever died. It was never something that uh you know I'm not excited for the new season. It was always Aaron Rodgers will give us a shot and always will be able to give us a shot to win the Super Bowl and put us in contention. You look at how many times he's just papered over the cracks for what is a very poorly run organization. To be quite honest, um, so kind of ever since getting into it, American football's been my escape. Um, I'm really, especially at the start, I was the only one of my friends that got into it, and it was my last year of high school, and the unknown that comes with it, beyond there, um, of not knowing really what am I going to get into university, that kind of thing. American football and digesting information about American football and the Green Bay Packers was my escape from everything. And I hope people can kind of see where I'm leading with this. Um, I and just through the tough times, there was always the Packers are back soon. The Packers are back soon. We're gonna play football. Packers football is back soon, and at the forefront of that was Aaron Rodgers, and he's always been my favorite player and always will be my favorite player. Um, just because he's so exciting to watch, he's so dynamic. I remember my first watching the first game I watched of him, the first Packers game I watched was 2015, week one. It was on Pick TV. It was against the Bears at Soldier Field. And all I can remember thinking, I didn't know much about American football at the time. I was still learning everything. I didn't know much about it at the time, but the first thing I think is Aaron Rodgers, hell of an athlete. I cannot believe this guy. He's incredible. And I didn't have the means to pay for a Game Pass, so I only watched maybe two or three more games the rest of the year. Um, and I remember the next vivid memory I have of Aaron Rodgers was the miracle in Motown, the Hail Mary, Rodgers to Rodgers against the Lions. I remember waking up in the middle of the night and seeing we were 20-0 down. I think we were on like a 4 game losing streak at the time or something, or 3 games, something like that. Um, and I remember seeing we were 20-0 down and then going back to sleep and thinking, well, what's the point? Waking up and then seeing that we've won 27-23, and you're thinking, what? So I watched the highlights, and just that guy, he's just incredible. And then obviously the playoff game against the Cardinals essentially does the same thing. Um, and it was just always I knew that this is what Aaron Rodgers was. He was a guy that was never gonna not be in contention from week one, if that makes any sense. Like, he was a guy that we would always be able to rely upon, that could drag us to a Super Bowl title if it ever came to it. I know obviously that didn't happen. We did only win one, and I'm disappointed I didn't get to see him hoist a second one throughout my time as a fan of the Packers. But regardless, I mean, I'm gonna support him as he goes to the Jets. Um, I will root for him. I really, really do hope he wins another one. Because I will be right along him the whole way. Um, Supporting him. And hoping the Jets really, really do well. And I'm not. This isn't going to be Jets theme. This isn't going to be Jets. This isn't going to be a Jets room. When you next see the show, the Packers are always going to be my team, but I'm always going to root for Aaron Rodgers. And in a way, it's almost the weight of him now being away kind of lifts it almost, because personally, I will get to this. I do think that the Packers will be fine with Jordan Love, but that kind of expectation isn't going to be the same for the next couple of years. Maybe it's just this one year. Maybe he's gonna be fine from this year, and the window will continue. We simply don't know. But I will always support Aaron Rodgers. And even through the COVID fiasco with the vaccine, I mean, it always just shaped my views. I mean, it's like, obviously I'm vaccinated against COVID-19. He's not. You'd think that would contradict. And well, I think he's a tad strange for some of his own research, what you like. I just think that logic is you can't tell anybody what to do with their own body. And the abuse that he got, I don't think was right at all. Um, I'm rambling at this point. It's tough. It's tough. Knowing that he's not he's going to be wearing a different shade of green now. And we move forward. It's a new era. It's very different for me. But what the biggest point that I wanted to talk about was where Aaron Rodgers was part of my escape, and just through maybe the second half of my last year at high school to maybe this time last year, maybe a little bit later, I really did suffer horrendous anxiety and depression. Um, and those that know me personally know this story. Um, I, uh, I would tend to get angry and upset at the slightest thing. Carrie, my beautiful fiance, if she was ever upset with me over the slightest thing, I would take it as a huge relationship altering fallout where things would never be the same over just the tiniest thing. If things just fell the wrong way for me at that point, I would spiral down into such a horrid, self-loathing um mindset is the best word for it. And it got to the point where I just would constantly try and recall if I'd done anything bad to deserve this, to deserve how I was being made to feel um constantly. Now I went through various forms of therapy, CBT, um, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, not that other thing, which I know you're thinking. Um, there was that. There was just a kind of, I don't really know what to call it. It was just kind of like a normal therapy that was during COVID-19. It was all virtual, that kind of thing. And what really kind of clicked for me was I then started taking antidepressants towards, I think it was the tail end of 2021. And it took a little bit to kind of figure out, but they didn't work on their own. Um, but I will get to that. The important thing for me at this point, for all the men and the women, but all the men especially, to take from this point right here about me taking antidepressants, is I am very comfortable with the opening, with admitting that I am on antidepressants, and I still am, and I think I might always be, because I don't want to go down the path that I was on. Um, and antidepressants are fine. I'm on the lowest dose I can be on for me, which is great. So I'm thankful I don't need to be heavily dosed up with it. But it's a simple pill. It's a simple pill, as if if you got if you sprained your wrist or your ankle or anything, you take a painkiller to deal with that pain. Just as you would take a pill for that, you take a pill for your brain to just fix and make it feel less pain. And I'm not talking physical pain. I am talking emotional pain. Because anybody that's never been through it just might simply not understand that it's you know saying to your friend that has depression is, oh, just cheer up, oh, go for a walk. It doesn't work like that. It's a chemical imbalance in your brain. You just simply are unable to feel happiness. And it's horrible. And I just wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. Honestly, wouldn't. It's so horrible to be in the mindset where you feel like you're being punished, and in my case, rightfully punished because of things I won't get into detail with, but things I have done in the past to various people, some of my best friends, my fiance, um, my parents. I was beginning to think I was being punished for that, um, and so I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. Was I suicidal? I think that it was something that could have potentially crossed my mind. I think I was probably lying to myself when I try to say I wasn't, but I don't think it was something that wasn't a possibility for me. Um, and I hope that's not too hard for people to hear that are close to me if they're watching this, because it's not on them. It was just how the cards fell for me at that moment. Um, I think what was most prominent to me was, am I a burden? Would people, if I did kill myself, would people truly want to come to my funeral? Would they just feel an obligation to turn up, and then feel annoyed at that obligation to the point where they would leave as early as possible? Um, and that was a real thought for me. And thankfully, I really am thankful to the point I'm not in that mindset anymore. And I have a few wobbles here or there. But I'm glad that it's not as bad as it was, and it really was. It was every day I was breaking down, crying, because I was just, why does this keep happening to me? Why are things constantly happening to me, to make bad things constantly happening to me to make me feel this way? Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that's all of it. Now, how does this tie in with Aaron Rodgers? You might be wondering. Well, on Pat McAfee, he'd been recommended books, and I think we all like to make jokes. Aaron Rodgers, he's a big hippie, and that kind of thing. But the books, I read them. I didn't read all of them. The ones I did read was, the first one was The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy, which is a very great book. I don't have it to hand. I did look for it, but I can't find it. That's a very short book you can read in half an hour. Beautiful art style, fantastic story and messages. Some of the stuff in it, the quotes are just fantastic. Um, and it's also short now, which is about 30 minutes long as well. It's on BBC. I think you can probably find it on BBC iPlayer, regardless of what you feel about the BBC at the moment. But I would definitely implore everybody to start with that. Read the book, watch the short, and then move on to The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, um, which was another book he recommended, Aaron Rodgers recommended. Um, the Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, I can comfortably say was my the catalyst to saving my life. I think, had I continued going down that road, I think that I would have eventually begun to feel more suicidal. And I think that eventually that may have become a possibility. So I moved on to the Four Agreements, and the the biggest takeaway I took from it was that it teaches you, almost, it is what it is, but it's not in an unhealthy way. I think a lot of one of my worries about it at first, and a lot of people who maybe take that mindset maybe worry that they're repressing the negative feelings that they experience. And I think that if you can acknowledge that a bad thing has happened to you in a way, but then say, it is what it is. Like, I'll give you an example. I used to freak the fuck out when I would open the cupboard and something would fall out, smash. Okay. And I would think, why does this happen to me? I never see this happen to anybody else. And in reality, that'll happen to, what, a billion people every day, right? And hopefully the vast majority of those people can go, oh well, just a glass, just a cup, dust pan it up, never mind. But to me, it was a big breakdown. And I think that what I can say to people now is a negative reaction to a negative event doesn't change the fact that the negative event has happened. So it's not no point in really getting yourself worked up in something that has happened. It's beyond your control now. You can't do anything about it. And the when it became obvious to me that I started becoming better and really taking on board these messages was when I went on, I think it was Vistaprint, and I made this cool Aaron Rodgers 4-time MVP mug. Because I don't tend to really drink tea or coffee or hot drinks, that kind of thing. But I thought, you know, I kind of just want a mug, and I thought, well, I'll just make it myself because I want to. And it was like £7 or something like that. And what happened was I was cleaning that glass, sorry, that mug one day, and it slipped out of my hands. We don't have a dishwasher here at the flat. It slipped out of my hands and cracked, and it ruined a bit of the design. And I thought, oh well, it's only a mug. Never mind, could still drink out of it. I had that happen maybe 6 months prior. I think I probably would have just broken down right there and then started crying. And it's a mug. It's a negative event that I couldn't do anything about anymore from that moment. And that was the sign to me that I had started that journey of getting better. This was combined with neuro-linguistic programming, which is essentially hypnosis. And the sessions of that was really, really good. So I'd recommend that for sure to combine with antidepressants if you feel like you need them. And from that point on, I delved into more spiritual books that were along the lines of the Four Agreements and things that can be taught. Now, I could only find one of them, sorry, two of them right now, but two of them are by the same author. So we've got this here. This is Love for Imperfect Things by Heyman Sunam, who's a Korean monk, and it's just short, almost essays backed up by tiny little points that you can just take, and some of them will stick with you, and you think, oh, that's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. I'm gonna keep that. And the other one is How to Remain Calm in a Busy World. I think that's what it's called. It's by Heyman Sunam. Oh no, it's called The Things You Can See Only When You Slow Down. How to Remain Calm in a Busy World by Heyman Sunam. That's right. It's a similar format to that right there. Those two books are fantastic, very easy reads. Something you can maybe blast through half of it in maybe, a couple hours, to be honest. Very, very easy reads. And then the last book that I went on myself was The Book of Forgiving by Desmond Tutu, who's obviously South African icons, I suppose you could say. This book will probably take a long time for a lot of people to read because there's a lot of external activities you need to do before they would say you should move on to the next one, before the next chapter. So this would probably take a while. But the 4 books before that, this is maybe just an optional one if you feel like you need to forgive yourself, forgive other people, let things go. So to cut a long story short, essentially, I think Aaron Rodgers recommending those books sent me on the path which saved my life. And that is how much Aaron Rodgers means to me. Aaron Rodgers saved my life. And I really hope somehow he can see this. And I really genuinely from the bottom of my heart just want to thank him so much because I now see life for what it is. It's absolutely beautiful and fantastic. And I love every second of it now. And I just didn't before. I'm not going to be one of those people that cry on YouTube. So, um, thank you, Aaron Rodgers. Please, best of luck in New York. I'll be rooting for you. I know pretty much all of Packers Nation will. And yeah, I think that's all I want to say. Other than if you are struggling mentally, try the books. You don't need to be a voracious reader by any stretch of the imagination. You do not need to be a voracious reader. They're all very easy reads. Like I say, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, you can read in 20, 30 minutes. And some of the stuff there will stick with you. I mean, I'm planning to get some of the quotes tattooed at some point. Yeah, get the books and reach out. Help is available. I really do wish everybody the best if you are struggling like this, especially if you're a man where you're constantly cut down and told, do not cry. You're not supposed to feel like this. You're tough. It's fine. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel like this. Reach out to your pals and let them know, because if they're true pals, they will be there for you. And a lot of mine were. But thank you so much for watching. I'm glad I managed to get through this without crying. Because this is an emotional story for me to tell at this point now, where I can now see all the amazing things that I would have missed out on had I killed myself. I got to see Aaron Rodgers live twice. To me, that was so important. Yeah. Right, I'm gonna get out of here. Yeah, please do reach out if you need the help. You can find me on message any of our socials. I mean, I'll speak to you personally if you're needing the help, and I'll do what I can to push you in the right direction to feeling better, becoming your best self. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and yeah, we'll be back next week. Me and Chris will be back next week for normal programming. Not sure what we're going to do yet, but we'll figure it out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for listening. And yeah, take care of yourselves. Ciao for now.